I guess the other...
Hold on. Bernardo, hold on. We got Ray on the line, so you can actually ask him. Ray, how are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, man?
We're doing pretty good. We're actually in the middle of a discussion about heavy metal, believe it or not, so we figured you should join in on that, and then we'll start talking to you on some other stuff. So, Bernardo, go ahead with Ray.
Yeah, you used to wrestle a lot with heavy metal.
Hello.
He was right up there with you guys.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear Bernardo?
Yeah, I can't hear him clearly.
Okay, Bernardo, speak up a little bit louder.
Okay, yeah, Rey Mysterio, well, first of all, let me just say it's a real honor to speak to you. I mean, you're probably one of the best wrestlers that I have ever seen live.
It's hard to pick up on the phone right here. I can hear you, Dave, very clearly. Hello? Can you hear me, Dave?
I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
what was he saying? Because I can't hear him. I can't hear him speak up.
Hello?
Go ahead, Bernardo.
All right, let me try it again. So it's just basically, what can you say of heavy metal, Rey Mysterio? He used to wrestle a lot with you guys, and he was practically right there with you guys as far as being a top talent from Mexico. Why didn't he come over and join you guys in WCW and such?
You know what, Dave? It's very hard for me to pick up. I can't hear him. Not at all. As soon as he starts talking, it starts breaking up. I know he's asking me about heavy metal.
Yeah, he's basically asking how what did you think of heavy metal, and as far as like why he never came to the United States.
Well, when I worked with heavy metal down in AAA, it was actually what greatest matches we can ever have. His purpose, I really don't know. Maybe he wasn't that sure of himself of making it here. But once everyone basically took apart from AAA, when Conan left and a couple of people started leaving, like Parka, he was one of the fewest that were really loyal to AAA, and he didn't really want to make a business elsewhere until maybe he saw somebody was already set. And of course, after he saw everyone set in WCW, that's when I think he kind of tried to talk to Conan, or maybe they did talk about him coming over here to the United States, but it never worked out.
Yeah, that's too bad, because he was right there along with you guys.
Ray, wouldn't you say, like, as far as like talent goes, that he was? I mean, his talent was equivalent to any of the top guys.
His talent was great. I mean, I remember when back when I wasn't even a wrestler. He used to be Canelo Casas, and he used to come down to Tijuana, and I used to check him out. And his style was just, back then I was barely growing up with the sport, and I was just from the fans' perspective, and I would really get amused by his style of wrestling. It's kind of like the newcomers now that they kind of watch us and they're like, wow, this is good stuff, you know. So his style, without a doubt, has been one of the best.
Okay, just one last thing, Dave. A couple of days ago, you had talked about how Mick Foley has had a very big influence as far as the upcoming wrestlers that we'll see in the next generation. You could also say that about Rey Mysterio. He has influenced a lot of the probably the next generation and current crop of new wrestlers out there. But there's also negative effects to that influence. What do you think about that, Rey Mysterio? Because your style of wrestling does have its downfalls, in that it shortens possibly shortens the career of many of the wrestlers.
Okay, let me ask him, because he's having trouble hearing you. He was basically saying that, like with Mick Foley, that you've been one of the biggest influences on young wrestlers. And certainly the one thing that you've done in the United States, and maybe and even in Mexico to an extent, is that smaller guys can get into wrestling because you paved the way, whereas before promoters would just immediately dismiss someone of your size or even a little bit bigger than you. But he's also going that because your style is so like acrobatic and sometimes dangerous, that it also has perhaps will lead to shorter careers of wrestlers as well. And what are your thoughts of both of those things?
I guess he is right, definitely about our style of wrestling and how we try to innovate things, and maybe that's a shorter process in our career, but that's kind of like the road that we pick. We know we can't get hurt very easily, and we know we can be out, for injuries, but I guess in the sport, in any sport, you got the risk of getting hurt. So why not do something you feel like doing, and like innovating your own style, which makes it even better. No matter, when you start thinking about that, you're not really thinking about how long is my career going to be in the sport. Pretty much it's you doing what you want and just living day at a day.
I think there's far more of a downside for people emulating Mick Foley than emulating Ray, because as Mick Foley always says, he couldn't jump high, so he jumped off high things. And it obviously takes like a good deal of athleticism to try the stuff that Ray and the luchadors try, as opposed to pretty much anybody can go up on something high and jump off of it. And we see a lot of that in the indies with guys, trying things like that. And pretty much the only people that really emulate the lucha style are people that can actually do it. So I think there's more of a downside, people trying the freaky things that Foley has done that are just dangerous.
Foley, with the way he's just involved throughout his career in wrestling, he's done a magnificent job of doing what he loves, because you can see it right off the bat. He feels everything he does in the ring.
Yeah.
Before we actually, the first things we should probably talk about is how are you doing? How are you feeling? How's the knee doing and everything like that?
Well, I'm picking up on my therapy. It's been the same for 2.5 months now. Just 5-day a week therapy, and of course I'm getting a little bit stronger on my leg, starting to lift a little bit more heavier as far as squats and all that. But I still got a ways to go. I still feel unsafe to even jump from the sidewalk down to the ground, because there's like a little unsafeness in that knee right now that I can't be moving it around that much. And until that goes away, I guess I'm probably going to get ready to come back and do a little bit in the ring.
What is the doctor giving you any advice as far as what you should or shouldn't be doing in the ring, or is it just one of those things where are there any things that are harder on your knees that maybe you should give up, or is it just one of those things where you just consider it kind of a freak thing because anyone can hurt their knee at any time in wrestling?
Pretty much, the doctor said is the reason for both of my surgeries that I've had is because I've been jumping off the either top turnbuckle or from the apron down to the floor. Okay. And landing on both feet flat, which the ligament that I tore. Every time you land flat on your feet, that ligament bounces off the two bones. So he told me to take that away as much as possible.
So is that like that Paraguayo kind of like flying?
Yeah, exactly. Every time I land, every time you do a backflip and you land on your feet back, that messes it up every time. So he's like, the more you can stay off your feet, the better.
So but
I can still jump on the ropes, do whether I have to land on my back or on my chest. That's no problem. Just to keep off my feet a little bit.
So that would be like, say a tope where the other guy catches you and you're not landing with both feet on the ground would be safer than maybe than jumping off the top rope and just doing a backflip off the top rope. Yeah,
exactly.
Or even just like an axe handle.
Yeah, like even a double sledge off the top or something, yeah.
Yeah, or even now that I know that I can't be doing that as much, I know that every time it's getting close to landing on my feet, I'm obviously going to either tilt sideways and take the fall on my side or something. But it's already 3 surgeries in less than 2 years, and I think I've been wrestling for 10 years now, and it kind of gets me deep down inside knowing that I'm only 25 and I'm already in my 3rd surgery in less than 2 years. So I just want to make sure this time I'm off, I'll make sure I come back right and not pressured, so I can definitely come in again, because the doctor, the first thing he said that if my PCL would have been torn, which it was stretched out, it would have been hard for me to come back to wrestle again.
Wow.
Do you feel that you might have come back too early the last time?
Maybe not too early, because I did feel that I was strong enough and ready, but I guess it's different thinking that, and I mean, feeling you're strong, but outside on your daily basis, and not in the ring. I don't think I was ready enough to be in the ring already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's maybe,
like night after night type thing.
Yeah, night after night type thing.
Yeah.
So that kind of messed with me.
What's Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that when they repaired my ACL again, like I said, the doctor said that my PCL was harder to see. So when they found it, they actually had to shrink it a little bit because it was stretched out. So they shrunk it with some laser, and obviously it's a little bit stronger now. But he said if that would have been torn, it would have been really hard for me to come back to wrestle. Which I guess he would have probably had to made a miracle or something. But thank God I'm still here.
Now, what have you talked to Juventud Guerrero lately?
I talked to him last week.
How's his recovery coming?
He's doing okay. This Wednesday he had to go see Andrews, and I think he should be ready in about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. He should be ready to come back.
Have you talked to Conan as far as his status in the company right now?
Everything is okay. I mean, he's staying with us. I think he temporarily got suspended for 2 months. And but besides that, you know, he's a team player. He knows how to do it. But just the screw-ups that they've been having recently, you know, it didn't turn out the way it should have, or they took it the wrong way, and they try to take other people down to the hole. So, you know, it was all just a big mistake. But as far as what I know right now is that Conan will be out for 2 months without wrestling.
Mm. Let's see. I got a series of questions here rather than start a call because we're going to have to go to a break in just a second. This is from Chris Viola, and he was talking about, can you explain what your mask stood for in your mind? You know, your Rey Mysterio Jr. mask that I guess did your uncle give you that mask basically? Or,
yes, yeah. Yeah, he gave it to me. It came out one time. I had the wrestling name of Coley B, and just out of the blue, he just popped in the ring and gave me the name with the mask. It was pretty fun. But the mask to me, it was just part of my whole character. I mean, the way I felt it was kind of like action hero-ish. You know, you have your wrestling life and you have your private life, and that was a big factor back then. You know, that most of the people didn't know who I was, and I had my separate lifestyle. Now it's a little bit harder.
So, yeah, well, how has your life changed as far as you know living in San Diego area and everything like that, and going to Tijuana, where before, outside of say a wrestling arena, even though you were a big star that people had seen on TV, you could walk the streets of Tijuana or San Diego pretty much in anonymity. You just look like, you know, any you know, you look like basically any guy who just goes to the gym a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like, you know, when people see you, I mean, like you're, you know, at least certainly to wrestling fans, you're totally recognizable. How's your life changed?
It's been in a good way because, you know, I grew up all over this place, San Diego and Tijuana. So now it's kind of cool that I can go tomorrow. I can go to the gym or I work out, and I mean, wrestling fans, you got them all over the place, and it's kind of cool that you can relate to people that are my age, you know, because most of the fans that are watching right now are in between the ages of 18 and 25, you know, the younger crew. So it's kind of cool that you know, the word gets around, and we can have a straight conversation. Because you know, as far as people who like wrestling, not in particular my fans, but people who like wrestling and can just go with a good conversation, you know, it kind of keeps you up, because it's the new generation that's going up, and it's all the people that are following you through TV and that know that you're still on TV, but you're also a cool guy like any of them. You know, you can do whatever you want. You can kick back. You can have a drink. You can have a beer, whatever you want. You know, and that's what makes it cool to them, and what makes it cool to me too. That we can relate to the fans and that.
I've got a couple of notes here I want to get through on the emails. The final rating for SmackDown was a 5.2. So it was I believe that would be, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that would be the second highest rating. I think 2 weeks ago. Was it a 5.3 2 weeks ago? I know they set the record against the president.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember what I'll see if I can find it while you're talking.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago was the record. Last week was down to a 4.7. This week is 5.2. So that would be the highest against real strong competition, because all the NBC big shows were going at it. So very, very impressive, which I think speaks volumes for. I think it speaks volumes for the quality of the Raw show, among other things, on Monday night. Couple of notes. Randy Reyes says Papi Chulo had a match in August 1998 against Val Venus on Raw. So anyway, we got actually a lot of emails on that one.
5.43 for SmackDown.
5.43 2 weeks ago. So this would be the second highest, because the Schwarzenegger one did a 5.1. I remember that. This is interesting. Brian, do you think ECW would improve its rating if they moved the show to Monday night at 8 p.m.?
It's a good question. It'd be head-to-head with WCW, but, I mean, the first hour hasn't been doing basically... I mean, they've lost so many viewers off their first hour that those viewers might be willing to tune into something else that's available at the same time.
I think that their rating would for sure go up, but then you're looking at a perception thing, because... It's one thing to be out there getting beaten. You know, if they got beat, they would certainly be doubled in the Monday night race. They would be doubled by WCW and quadrupled by WWF. And I think it's better to just be on Friday night on your own and not have that same perception. But I think that as far as the rating itself, I think it would go up. I think they would draw a better rating Monday from 8 to 9 than they would draw Friday from 8 to 9.
They did announce at the Rob Van Dam press conference today that CBS has okayed, I guess, a ton of advertising for this coming year for the TNN show. So I think it'd be best for them to wait and see how that does before doing. I mean, I don't even think they've obviously even talked about moving the show, but I think if that were brought up, it would be better to wait and see how all the additional advertising does before they decide to move it or something like that. I heard Tammy and Candido are going to WCW, and Tammy was going to be with Ric Flair. That has been discussed. I've heard people who have seen Tammy of late who think that would be a very dumb idea for WCW. Personally, I think that would be a really dumb idea for WCW. But I believe that they are going to... I know that there's talk of them getting a tryout. There is also the claim that Paul Heyman... And I don't know this to be true, but this word has certainly gone around... that Paul Heyman has told them that they can get their jobs back in ECW if they were to get a tryout match with WCW, so that way it would look like he had raided someone from WCW, that's what he's looking at doing, or making it look like there was something like that, kind of a perception deal there. And as far as tryout, does that mean like a dark match, or does that mean actually doing something on TV without a contract for 1 week? I don't know. Well, I think it would be without a tryout matches without a contract. I think they would probably keep it off TV. I know that there's been a lot of talk that they will be going to the Nassau show on Monday, but they're not listed as far as them. I think that would just be to say hi and just to try to get a job more than, actually appearing on the show as talent. Let's see. Okay, it's another one about Papi Chulo and Val Venus. And Michael Cole gave the translation that Papi Chulo's name was Pimp Daddy, noticing the irony of the matchup. Is that, Didn't Mr. Pogo get seriously hurt in an explosive match like that? I was at that match in Japan in '96. That was more from a botched move, though. Yeah, no, it wasn't from the explosion. What happened was he took a bump off the apron onto broken glass, and there's some contraption with broken glass and things and maybe barbed wire, and he broke his neck. But that was from the bump. It wasn't from the explosion.
That was the match with Terry Funk that when we went in and had Funk on that he was talking about. Friday's Newark Star-Ledger, which is New Jersey's largest sports paper, they had a big article about wrestling in the sports page. It claimed that Tito Santana was the WWF's second biggest star in the 80s behind only Hulk Hogan. I haven't stopped laughing yet. Brian's going to be laughing for the next 45 minutes as well.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Do you think Hunter Hearst Helmsley has a taste for blood after the Royal Rumble and might be willing to take the insane bumps reserved for Foley?
No.
I hope not. Especially with his knees. Oh, I'd be stupid.
I don't know if you could ever get a taste for blood where you would want to take crazy bumps for the hell of it if you didn't need to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, Foley did it as a way to get over, and Helmsley's already over and the WWF champion, and what kind of thought process would it be to go, I'm already over, I'm already the top guy, but by God, I'm going to, do something really dangerous. That's not going to happen. Well,
Foley did that at Hell in the Cell. He was already over by then. But Helmsley and Foley have totally different mentalities, so
yeah.
You're right. Yeah, you're definitely right. This is, I plan to attend the Living Dangerously pay-per-view next month in Danbury, Connecticut. Is there any word of a match of whether we'll have Mike Awesome defending the title? I mean, it's not officially announced, but I believe the main event on that show is going to be Mike Awesome against Masato Tanaka. And there's certainly a lot of hints going around that there will be a TV title tournament on that show. That is also not official. How come CWA tapes from Germany are so hard to get?
Nobody records them.
I don't know. There's some problem with translation. Then again, they have that with England, and I can get England tapes pretty easy. Maybe nobody wants to watch them. All right, here we go. Remember when Mick Foley wrestled Kane on Raw in the Hell in the Cell match? Foley tried twice to throw a chair onto the top of the cage, but missed, and the chair ended up almost hitting him coming back down. He took a bump like Shawn Michaels off the side of the cage. He took a few unprotected chair shots. It's pretty obvious by looking at him that he's in worse physical shape than he was then. I don't think he can ever duplicate the match that he had. He shouldn't try, but he got huge pops on Raw and all he did was punch the whole time he was in the ring, which was a total of 3 minutes. He doesn't need to do anything crazy. Nobody wants to see him leave the sport almost crippled and unable to find his car in the parking lot. Hey, I have trouble finding my car in the parking lot a lot, so that's not, let's see. This is for Ray, so we'll wait for Ray to get back here. And is it true that Sitch and Candido have verbally agreed to a WCW deal? I'll check on that. I had not heard that. I know that there'd been talk in the last week about it, though. And this is another thing for Ray. Okay, we're just waiting for Ray to get back here. And before that, let me just get a couple of more notes here. Okay, let's see. Cauliflower Alley Club is going to be having its meeting in Las Vegas, and that'll be over this weekend, and at Sam's Town Hotel and Gambling Hall in Las Vegas from 10 to 6 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, admission free. So if you're in Las Vegas, they will have wrestlers signing autographs, Legends of Wrestling signing autographs. Saturday will be Pat Patterson and Danny Hodge. Sunday will be the Crusher, Red Bastien, Ole Anderson, and Chavo Guerrero Sr. Okay, so got that. Rey Mysterio Jr. is back on the line. Ray, how are you? Hello? Ray? Oh, this thing is like scary.
Try that again in a minute.
We're in Chicago. Okay, is Ray up? We are getting Ray up. Ray.
Yeah.
Okay. How you doing?
Good. This is better.
Okay, this is a lot better. Okay, yeah, one of the things I wanted to ask you, and actually we had a couple of questions about this.
Yeah.
Is that whole thing that went down a couple of weeks ago with Chris Benoit and everybody leaving, and Conan and Shane and everything, and what was your thoughts about how everything went down? And I know that what exactly did you say to management? Because I know that you and Conan, obviously go back probably to almost the beginning of your wrestling career.
Yeah,
you go back about 8 years now. So what was what's your thoughts about how everything went down there?
Well, just basically what I think is that what everyone tried to get cleared as far as the people that left and the people that are still here was that we've been stopped too many times from becoming stars, and I think if we have the potential to become a superstar, or at least given the opportunity to become a superstar in professional wrestling, you know, you would think it would happen here, but it's not happening. So that's what we spoke out. We just spoke out that we've been held too many times, and that we want the opportunity given to us. That we know that if you guys put it on the table, we're gonna take it, and we're not gonna drop the ball. We're gonna take it all the way to the top. But unfortunately, I guess politics that go throughout the sport of wrestling, which is the thing that has held many people back, and the results were that some people left, like Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Perry, you know, great talent, very good talent.
Were you sorry, you know? Were you pretty sorry to see them go, especially Dean, because you and Dean had some phenomenal matches?
You know what? I'll be straight up with you.
And Eddie too, for that matter.
I'm sorry?
And Eddie too. I mean, you and Eddie had phenomenal matches too.
Yeah, and one thing I can never forget about Eddie is that I remember he was so strong in Mexico City when I was down in AAA, and he left me like a king over there. And as far as Dean, I mean, my first wrestling match ever to have in WCW was against Dean Malenko. So, I mean, yeah, I did feel really bad that they let him go. You know, that they took separate ways, because I mean, the matches that I had with Dean, with Eddie, and with the rest of the guys, not putting anyone down, but I mean, Dean personally, because I started with him right here in WCW, you could say. And I called him up last week, and I told him, you know, God bless you, take care of yourself, you know, wherever you're at. You know, who knows what the future might bring for any of us. You know, you might be over here again, or I might be over there. But I called him up to thank him for the support that he's given me throughout the sport, because he's been a great teacher to me. And
would you say that your match with Eddie at the Halloween Havoc, I think it was like mask versus title?
Yeah, match of the year.
Maybe your best match in all of WCW?
I would have to say yes. Yes, definitely. I would have to say probably the best of the year, of that year, or
yeah,
maybe
definitely.
throughout several years. But it was one hell of a match, and I go back to very good thoughts about that.
If you had to name, like, I don't know if it's one or three or four of matches that you've had since your career started that you would say, or you're looking back, are your favorites, like which ones come to mind right away when I would ask a question like that?
I would have to say Super J Cup with Psychosis.
Oh yeah.
I would have to say, even though it was a very short match, but the way it was set up, we once had a 4-on-4. It was Liger, Ghetto, Juventud, and Chris Jericho against, it was Ultimate Dragon, other two. Oh my God, I lost the other two. It was a 4-on-4 match we had in Japan. I remember, we kind of felt very proud at the time because our ex-boss was down there, Antonio Peña. So he was actually the only two traveling from Mexico were Juventud and me, and it was actually a hell of a show that we had down there. I go back again to Juan de la Barrera, Mexico City, for the championship belt, the welterweight. It was me and Psychosis, and I would have to say the 3-on-3 matches we used to have with Super Calo, Winners, and me against Heavy Metal, Psychosis, and at the end it was Hubi, but at the beginning it was Picudo.
Did it ever get to the point where you could do like an entire match with Psychosis without calling a single spot?
Definitely, without a doubt.
Because that J-Cup match, I remember watching that, and the crowd was just, they were watching so intently, and it was so quiet.
Yes,
and you could hear you guys breathing on the mat while you were doing your your wrestling there at the beginning.
You know what really amused me, because that was actually my first wrestling match in Japan. Just the way the audience would just lay back and wait for everything to happen little by little, and just the reactions. It was incredible. You always hear about people that are wrestlers that are going out of Japan, and they're like, the crowd is like this and like this, and they do this and they do that. So you kind of just imagine everything in your head, but there's nothing like somebody telling you how it is than to really be there and living it, with flesh and blood.
Two before we go to the calls, I just want to bring up two of my favorite matches that you were in were like about 2 weeks apart. A couple of years ago, it was both with Juventud Guerrero. One was in ECW in Philadelphia. It was Mick Foley's last match in ECW, I believe.
Oh my God, yes.
And when you did the Hurricane Rana on the car, and it was freezing out.
Yeah, we had. You know what? That's right. And I totally excluded ECW, but yes, that was one of the best matches I've ever had in ECW, because we took the cameras to the outside, and I think they have already done that before, but me and we were kind of, we were excited, we were jacked up. We're like, let's take the cameras outside. So we took them outside. We did I think it was a power bomb off the hood of the car, and I think I backdropped them, and I came off with some head scissors. Yeah, that was some good times back then too.
The other one was just a couple weeks later in Tijuana at it wasn't even at the Auditorio, it was at the Palenque, and I thought that match was unbelievable.
Was it a one-on-one?
It was a one-on-one for the title. I think.
And you know what, Dave? I was just watching it because my kid likes when he sees the tapes that I'm going over, he likes kicking back and watching wrestling matches with me. But he kind of doesn't really understand it from back then, because he sees me with a lot of different colors, and he used to see me now with the new design and everything. So it was kind of like, who is this guy? But he would know it was his dad. And I was just watching that very match that you're talking about. It was in the Palenque, at Tijuana.
Yeah, because I remember that match. The heat in that match was so incredible.
It was intense, huh? It was intense.
Oh, I just like the whole match, 25, 28-minute match, and the heat, the heat was so great, and I remember people were going, because I had actually been to the Philadelphia match, and then the people who I was with were not at the Philadelphia match, and they go, how would you compare them? And I was like, well, they're totally different matches, but I couldn't say one was better than the other. They were equal.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Roy in Chicago. Roy, how are you doing?
Pretty good, Dave.
What's up, Roy?
I have a question for you. A few months ago in an interview, you said that Psychosis had pretty much lost his spirit for wrestling. He's not willing to learn new moves. He's so tired of being jobbed. And has that changed at all?
Dave, can you repeat that for me?
He said that you had done an interview where you said that Psychosis had kind of lost his spirit, I guess, from, maybe bogged down from the politics and everything.
That's right. I know Psychosis very well, and, if there's one thing we've criticized ourselves about wrestlers in Tijuana, because that's where we grew up, is that no matter how good you are, the promoters, they always keep you down. If they don't want to see you rise, they'll keep you on the bottom, and they'll bury you, or they'll do whatever they have, or maybe not even wanting to do that as much, but just keeping you there, in the mix, not actually giving you a chance to be on top. So with Psychosis, I kind of felt it that way, because his spirit was always up when we were having those one-on-one matches back at Bash to the Beach, and when we first came in, and all of a sudden, it was kind of always him on down, him always beat, and it kind of brought him to a point where it's like, damn, every time I step in the ring, people know the quality, but there's really no push for me. There's nothing there, and I think it brought his morals down.
Do you Do you think that like mentally, like as far as like confidence level and stuff has hurt him to where, you know, he came out of Mexico, you know, he started at the bottom in Mexico, worked his way up to where he was on top and really effective, you know, effective main eventer in Mexico.
Yeah, definitely.
And then, yeah, I mean, like, you know, great heat. I mean, I saw him many times in Mexico in top matches, super heat, big crowds. And then he comes to the United States, and okay, he figures, you know, okay, you know, I start at the bottom, that's understandable. Work the way up
to the top, yeah.
Right, and then after a while, when it's not happening, do you think that it like hurt his confidence, going like, wow, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, or something?
Definitely. I think not as much as I thought. I thought it was a lot better than this, but as much as just thinking overall of what wrestling has to bring to you. You know, no matter how good you are, if the person ain't there to help you out, you know, it's like, damn, you know, why even kill myself if nothing really big is gonna happen to me? And I think that just brought him down to a certain point, but mentally right now he's picking up because I've been in his head a lot. Believe it or not, Cyclops, you know, remember Cyclops that used to be in WCW? We all hang out and live in the same area between San Diego and Tijuana. So we've got in his head a lot because, I mean, you're talking about psychosis, a guy that he's only 28 years old and he has a whole history and his wrestling is just outstanding. And how can you let a guy come down like that? Because like you said, Dave, coming out from Mexico City, being on the main events, I used to remember all the crazy shit he used to do in the ring, and now it's like, you know, you see it, but that spark isn't there, and he just needs like self motivation from himself, and maybe a good reason for him to bring back that spirit again I'd have to say from the company, from WCW, because he is talent.
Okay, and Dave, I had one more question for you. And it was about the whole Sabu going to WCW thing. I know it's kind of off topic, but isn't it Paul Heyman's philosophy that if you don't want to work in ECW, you don't have to? So why are they trying to keep Sabu from going to WCW?
I don't think that he's really trying to keep Sabu as much as trying to establish that you can't. If the contract is valid, I think he's trying to establish, if nothing else, that you can't just walk in and steal my guys without a fight. And I think that if the contract is valid, I personally think that he would rather, at this point, probably Sabu go, but him getting something in return, whether it be cash, whether it be appearances from some WCW wrestlers or something. So it's just like he gets something for this guy as much as, I mean, in a sense, I'm sure he'd like to have him only because he's so down because of all the injuries. But over the long haul, I don't think he would want a guy who doesn't want to be with him. It's not good for morale. It's not good for the company.
And speaking of Sabu, I think he's had some influence on Ray's career, and vice versa, kind of.
What's that?
Ray, would you say that Sabu's had influence on your career?
On mine?
Yeah, without a doubt. See, I like. To me, it's like the Sabu style definitely innovated a lot, using the chairs and you know, jumping off the chairs to the rope to the table, and you know, I mean, for a while down in Mexico. And I do have to give Sabu his props. We were doing that stuff, and we were big into it. Obviously, you come to a place like WCW where you can't do as much as you would want to do because of certain angles and stuff. So you kind of have to slow down your pace. But definitely, Sabu was a big influence in my style of wrestling, I would say, and even in Psychosis and a lot of the guys, you know, I mean, even Conan back then, he was using the chairs and drop kick and all that. So, I mean, we all pick up a little bit from each style, and we kind of just put it in our own style.
Anything else, Roy?
No, that's pretty much about it.
Okay, let's go to David in New York. David, what's up?
Hey, just before I ask Ray my question, I just wanted to ask, Dave, I got a press release that was sent to people that were at NACP about a new TV show that Jim Duggan's going to be starring in. Do you want me to send over, email you the press release?
I didn't even hear this one. What about the one Rena Mero sent? Duggan TV show. You know, what was it? I saw a list of some stuff that Mike Henderson's doing, too. I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
Like some TV show or something.
Anyway, the show's called Biker Court. And he's the judge.
He's a judge in Biker Court?
It looks like it's worked. I'll send you the press release, and it has about what's in the pilot and stuff, and it has the phone number, so maybe you could get a copy or something.
This isn't a real-life court show, is it?
But, well, it says it's a cross between Jerry Springer, Judge Judy, and pro wrestling.
Oh, okay.
God.
And it says, the slogan is, when court gets rough, hacksaw gets tough. Victims find justice and criminals pay, and if necessary, they receive a 2x4 upside the head.
So it's like a mock courtroom where Jim Duggan like comes in and hits people with 2x4s instead of like the judge, you know, like yelling at him like Judy does.
He has a 2x4 for a gavel.
Whose idea was that?
Come on.
I don't. What? Who comes up with who came up with Rock and Ball? By the way, did you notice the Rock and Ball gag last night on SmackDown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ayatollah of Rock and Ball.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, my question for Ray is, because you were talking, actually I was thinking about this, that you were talking about that match in Tijuana that he had a week after that match in ECW. I thought that it was a really great match, but what did you think of that? I kind of thought that the fall kind of ruined the match. The what?
The what? You mean, all the interference at the end, you mean?
Yeah, what do you think? I mean, what do you think of that whole... Ray, I just want to ask what Ray thinks about that whole booking style that Conan was using at that time.
I guess back then we were really into it, but, you know, sometimes you do things, and then you go back and watch it, and you're like, okay, maybe these people shouldn't have been here, or maybe we should have had only this. But, you know, at the time, it was fun, and it was exciting, and the people loved it, so I got to give credit for that.
It kind of depends on the context of the match, too, because sometimes you can have a match with a lot of run-ins, and it'll be really cool.
Yeah.
But then there's other times where it's just totally pointless.
Exactly.
I thought it was weird watching this match. It's like, here it is, Ray and Hoovy are having this really graceful match. You know, and then all of a sudden, then some like Psychosis is friends with, and then Conan runs in with a barbed wire bat. You know what I mean? I guess kind of the idea back then was, because we did give the people 2 out of 3 falls, so we gave them almost 3 falls completely of mat wrestling, holds, high flying, and then at the end we gave them that big old smile so they can all be like, shit, you know, either why did they have to screw up this good match, or they get excited themselves and see the whole angle work out at the end. I just gotta say that it's really amazing that you did, I think it was in over 8 days that you and Hoovy did like 3 really amazing matches. That it was the Philly match, the Tijuana match, and you also did what I thought was actually the best of them, at least from what they showed on TV.
Yeah. The New York match?
Yeah. That was my favorite, actually, of the 3.
New York match?
Yeah, the match in New York with Hoovy, and like, it was 2 out of 3 falls, and it was like each fall, each used like the different Japanese finisher type move. Yeah. Like you pinned Hoovy in the first fall, I think, with the straight jacket suplex and stuff. Yeah. And I just really, that was my favorite of the 3 because it was just the best. You know how the other ones kind of just had like too much like the brawling and the stuff type mixed in? Yeah. That was just more just a pure wrestling match, and he threw in the different finishers, and I just loved that match a lot.
The one thing with having, because I actually saw those 3 matches, is that where the New York match I thought technically was probably technically the best of the 3, but the thing is that it didn't have, like the other 2 had just phenomenal crowd response, and the New York crowd is like it was a really hideous crowd that night. So it took away from the match. But I mean, like, as far as like those guys doing their moves, it was the New York match was phenomenal.
Yeah. No, those Lost Battalion Hall matches always had the worst heat. Yeah.
It was a really, like, it was a crowd. I mean, I remember sitting there, and they're just sitting there, and all they wanted was blood, and this, I think, was when the commission wouldn't let them have blood. Yeah. So the crowd was just in a bad mood all night. I mean, it was just a really tough crowd.
There's one last thing I want to mention that, Ray, I don't know, like, I think my favorite matches along with the ones with Hoovy and some of the ones in Mexico was one, I think it was you teaming with Hoovy against La Parka and Psychosis on a Nitro.
I remember that.
Yeah, that it was...
Yeah.
That was just... Is it true? Like, I remember hearing rumors at the time that you and the other three guys were upset about how your place is in the company, and you just did a great match just to tell them to push you, kind of.
Yeah, but I think back then we were like just frustrated at the time, and we're like, let's just go out there and bust it, you know. Let's just go out there and do what we like doing. And we felt it, you know. We went out there, we rocked, and we came back, we high-fived, and we were just happy about the performance that we did.
Okay, that's it, Dave. I'll try to email you that press release and some other stuff, okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay, bye.
We've got a news item. I want to thank Andy Patrizio for sending this one over. This just came across. I'll read it to you. Time Warner Incorporated's World Championship Wrestling is facing a challenge from a three-man tag team of black and Asian professional wrestlers. In court, not in the ring. Harrison Hardbody Norris, who's of course Hardbody Harrison, Bobby Hardwalk Walker, and listen to this one, and Kazuo Sonny Ono filed, you're going to love this, Brian. Brian, listen to this. Filed racial discrimination lawsuits today in federal court in Atlanta, claiming the Atlanta-based World Championship Wrestling treats minorities unfairly. The wrestlers protest that blacks are cast as thugs, pimps, that's the other show, and Uncle Toms, and Asians as conniving and greedy. That's true. While white performers receive positive winning roles that advance their careers. The lawyers also say that their clients' white counterparts make substantially more money, well, than those guys. They do. God, is Bobby Walker hard to work, watch, whatever. Okay. Why does every African-American have to be portrayed as a loudmouth puke, said Carrie Itchter, an attorney representing the wrestlers. Also on the wrestlers' legal team are Merrick Bernstein and former state attorney general Mike Bowers, who campaigned for governor in 1998 on the issue of ending affirmative action programs.
Wow.
Okay, he campaigned, listen to this, on ending affirmative action programs, and now he's... Oh, my God. Bowers accused the media conglomerate of hypocrisy for promoting racial stereotypes at the same time it condemns the practice in Major League Baseball. These are people who are looking to penalize John Rocker for doing what is in these complaints, Bowers said. Boy, I tell you what, I have heard a lot of people make that analogy of John Rocker and pro wrestling lately. Bowers, Rocker was suspended until May the 1st for racially offensive comments he made in Sports Illustrated, as you all know. The Braves are part of Turner's empire. Let me see if there's anything else. The suit alleges that WCW violated federal racial discrimination laws, humiliated minorities, and created a hostile work environment, among other claims. The suits seek opportunity for better roles that might lead to wrestling stardom. The wrestlers also ask for the status of regular employees, not independent contractors. They seek unspecified damages. Norris, who claims he lost his job because he's black. I don't think that's white. Oh, well. Wants his contract reinstated. White males dominate professional wrestling and the audience for television spectacles. WCW has had few, if any, black stars with positive images.
They have?
Booker T, right?
Yeah.
That's a positive image, no doubt. The one act, here we go. The one act featuring blacks promoted now in WCW is Harlem Heat, a black duo, the suit says. One white combatant has appeared in blackface to fight, and that's Ernest. Remember Bagwell and Ernest to fight a black opponent?
Yeah.
The suit says. No comment, says Alan Sharp, WCW PR director, when asked about the allegation. Sharp said, only one black act is being promoted by the group. Tune in Monday night and see for yourself, he said.
I guess that means Booker T will get a big push Monday night.
I think that's evident. The plaintiffs say that wrestling promoters must grapple with evidence that shows WCW writers and management direct the success of white wrestlers through the scripts at the expense of black wrestlers and other minorities, and that the workplace is hostile. Racial epithets are used and nasty racial jokes are posted at the WCW offices, according to exhibits in the suit. Oh, that's like so bad if they have them, because it's like, oh boy.
Remember that whole deal with Eric Bischoff and the, I don't know if it was Bischoff that did it, but while he was there, the inter-office memo?
The
inter-office memo. Yeah, he was there. That was actually maybe the beginning of the end, because it was one of his secretaries that, you mean the racial joke, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a racial joke posted by, one of the secretaries there, and there was a lot of heat because they didn't get fired.
Wow.
Yeah, wow. I'll tell you what, when it comes to this, it's really weird because, we're talking about, Hardbody Harrison and Bobby Walker, who were guys who they never got a push, exactly. But I mean, like, there's as far as like the talent thing goes, and I'm not encouraging any type of action or anything, but I mean there is something that if there's more of a case with some of the Mexican talent. I mean, like, it's one thing for like Hardbody Harrison and Bobby Walker, who have no resume of wrestling stardom, no no ability, no outstanding ability above average. And then another one where you bring in, I mean, you could talk about Parka and Psychosis and you and Hoovy. Yeah. But I mean, especially, I mean, these are guys who have track records of success that have been used as comedic figures in certain points.
You know that they can be pushed to a certain point, yeah.
Right. So, if this lawsuit gets anywhere, it opens up another one, and the other one, there's a lot more validity to the other one. And boy, these things happen, and because of Atlanta, it's always one of those things that always in the Atlanta wrestling promotion, going back to Thunderbolt Patterson in the '70s, this story has always come and gone, and I guess this is a lot of
racial thing.
Yeah, because of the racial thing, because of Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got to get to the calls right now. Let's get to Derek in New Jersey.
Yeah, what's up?
What's up? What's your name?
Derek.
Derek.
Yeah, I got a question about Lucha. Have you seen any of it lately?
I can't hear you.
Have you seen any Lucha lately?
He's asked if you've watched any Lucha Libre lately.
Any Lucha Libre lately?
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, I'll be straight up with you. I haven't watched it.
So you haven't seen Ricky Marvin?
Have you seen Ricky Marvin wrestle?
Have I seen Ricky Marvin wrestle?
Yeah.
I've seen him on clips that Conan has. That sometimes I swing by his house, but I haven't seen like a whole complete show, or I haven't seen him in a complete match where I watched 2 out of 3 falls. No, I haven't. Good? Is he good?
Is he good?
I think so.
Yeah, he got over really good. They were in Japan this week.
Yeah.
And Ricky Marvin got over real big in Japan this week on that Mil Mascaras tour.
Oh, the Mil Mascaras tour?
Yeah, because I was reading something that he was kind of like the undercard hit of the tour.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. I got one more question.
Yeah.
What do you think about Super Callows brothers, Alan Stone and Motocross?
You know what? When I did probably the few shows that I did for Promo Azteca, that's when I saw them wrestle. And, I think they have potential. Definitely.
Do you think they could be up in WCW soon?
They come from a good background, the father, and, very good school.
Do you think they could be up in WCW soon?
Whether it's WCW, ECW, or WWF, they got it to come here to the States. Yes, they do.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
Later.
Okay, thanks so much, Derek. We're going to go to James in Washington. James, what's going on?
Hey, Dave, how's it going?
It's going
good.
What's
up?
Good. A couple questions for you. Hey, Ray, have you ever wrestled down in Tepic?
Tepic?
Yeah.
Yes, I have with AAA.
Yeah, because I'm going down to Mexico next week, and we're going to end up in Tepic, and I was wondering, do you remember what the place where you wrestled was?
I don't know exactly, but I know Super Callow had to do with some wrestling shows down there.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get to town, you might want to look out, see wherever they have the wrestling.
Okay.
Matches are.
And hey, Dave, I've been a long-time subscriber, and recently, when I get my newsletter, I've been, getting it through the mail for all these years. The spine of it is like really worn out, and it has worn through like 4 of the pages, and there's a great big chunk of it that I can't read.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like every other issue is that way.
Wow. If there's something that you can't read, you should just email us or just call us right away, and we'll send out another issue.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's on certain things that just doesn't interest me, but some of it's kind of a drag. Anyways, keep up the great work.
All right, man.
Is Brian on the line?
Hey, what's going on?
How's it going, Brian?
Is this, Luchador James?
Yeah.
Hey, I'll call you after the show.
Okay.
All right, cool.
All right. All right, take it easy, Dave.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, bye-bye. Yeah, Ray, what did you think of that story that we just talked about with the lawsuit?
With the lawsuit?
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's like you said. It seems that it could happen a lot more with all the Mexican wrestlers that come from a background of wrestling and that they really haven't pushed to a certain point. But then again, you know, it's you hear it all along through WCW that it's always been a racial thing as far as blacks trying to file a lawsuit because they haven't given the opportunity. But you know, then again we go back to the same thing, politics, right? Or maybe just the frustration of not being able to get the opportunity to rise. But you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a racial thing. It just might be it's not your time, you know.
It did seem like they at least gave the luchadors, like you and Hoovy, that took your masks off, at least a good push at the beginning after it happened. So
yeah,
it seemed like it was almost a mask deal that really got in the way. But then again, it wasn't like they tried to push you guys all the way to the top.
Yeah, exactly. It was
what's your feeling coming back on that with the mask thing? I mean, do you wish they hadn't taken the mask, or now looking back, do you think it wasn't that big of a deal?
It's kind of hard, Dave, because I grew up with the opposite style of American wrestling, which of course is Mexican, and I mean our psychology is a lot different, and you know, once we started working for WCW, a lot of heads were talking to you. You know, you were hearing a lot of things in your ear. You know, it's not good because they need to see your face, and that's when new opportunities come and the commercials, blah 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 blah. And you were like, damn, maybe that is right. And then another part of you was just rephrasing all those 10 years that you lived in wrestling, but with the mask, like, whoa, you know, it's part of you, and you've carried it for so long, and you know, it's not, don't take it off that easy. So it was kind of like a 50-50 thing, saying, okay, I'm gonna step into the future and see how it turns out, or am I gonna stick with the old school, you know? And it was hard at the time, but now it's like, now that I'm here, I don't regret ever doing it. No, and who knows if I would still have the same popularity if I had the mask. So I kind of just left it up to the Lord's hands, and he guided me through it. We went through it together, and guess that's why he has me where I'm at right now. But
going back to that Havoc match, you almost lost it that night, right?
Yeah, actually that was a belt versus mask match. Yeah, I remember some things went down that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that, Dave?
Oh yeah.
It was like 20 minutes before the match, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember
like 2 days before or a day before.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching that match, and it was one of those things where it was like this incredible match, and literally, it's like I didn't know who was going to win because it was like going back and forth, like almost until the end. Yeah, because I mean, originally, like, you know, Eddie was supposed to go over, and then I know that, like,
they held that. I mean, Eric held that to like the last minute.
Yeah,
like last minute thing, boom, and like damn. But yeah, I was. To be honest with you, I wasn't mentally prepared right there at the time.
Oh, to lose that match?
To lose the mask that night.
Yeah.
And you know, like I said, God is always on my side. So.
What? Did you ever become friends with Blitzkrieg?
Yeah. I lost contact with him recently, but when he was right here with us, traveling up and down, I mean, we were good buddy trips. We used to ride together.
Because what are your thoughts of him? Because I thought that, like, you know, he had matches with you and with Juventud that were tremendous, and I thought, like, you know, you're watching that and you're going, like, you know, I mean, he's still new in the business. I mean, it was basically his first full year in. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, you know, like, and he improved. I thought he improved a lot, and then they, you know, it was like, God, you get rid of a guy who's showing, you know, flashes of actual, you know, real brilliance out there. You know, I don't know. I thought it was like, geez, you know, it's like, you know, you can look at certain guys and just go, like, you know, this guy's, you know, I don't know, has too much talent to let him go on, like, a minor cost-cutting thing. I mean, I'm sure his contract wasn't even that big, so. Yeah,
I'll be straight up with this. The thing is, I don't, like, if I would have been new to the sport here in the United States and they would offer me a contract, let's say I'm just throwing out a figure here for $75,000, and I really don't know how the money works here in the States, you know, in a heartbeat, I'm going to go ahead and take it, and I mean, of course I'm not going to back down on it, whether it's too little, you know. If it's too little right now, I'm going to go ahead and work my way up and let them know that I can obviously make more money with the talent that I have. And as far as Jay, very good friend, you know, we bonded really good. We're both out from the West Coast, and I think what Jay needed, he just needed a little bit of more motivation to the sport, because he felt it, but it was like for the minor things, I guess he didn't feel like being on the road or doing this, and sometimes I would kind of trip on that a little bit, because he's what, only 22, Dave?
Something like 22, 23.
22. Yeah. I remember at that age, I mean, I was working down in Mexico, and I wasn't making probably what he was making with WCW at the time, and you know, I was happy of being on the road and wrestling and working, and Jay was kind of Blitzkrieg was kind of like on the, you know, as long as I'm on TV, that's kind of good, but being on the road, you learn a lot, and you pick up a lot of crowd reaction, and you get the rhythm, and you kind of start building up. And I think that's the only thing that Blitzkrieg needed. He just needed that timing there for each little thing, because he had, I mean, his skills are perfect in the ring. I mean, he gets off, but I guess he really didn't like being on the road that much.
Well, that'll definitely work against you in wrestling, Brian.
You got to stick with what they're going to give you.
Yeah, Brian, I wanted to bring up the one name here in that suit that I found really interesting, which is the name Sonny Ono.
Yeah, I mean, he got a fairly good role until Bischoff left.
Well, I mean, the thing with the role that he played, okay? I mean, he had a lot of input into what he was doing. I mean, it wasn't like he was a guy underneath who's just being told what to do. I mean, he was very powerful in the company for a while there.
Very powerful.
And I mean, like, you know, he lost his job when Eric lost his job. Okay, but the point is that, you know, like, for, you know, him to complain about a demeaning role, it was like, geez, you know, I sensed that was a lot of his doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he made the best. Himself. He made the best that he could while Eric was there. I mean, he was like you said, he had a lot of power. He had a lot of power in that company. So, I mean, why even complain about something like that when at the time you were on top?
Yeah. I mean, that name, like, really, it's really interesting.
Got to also bring up Norman Smiley's name as another black guy that's got a huge push right now.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Norman Smiley.
Yeah.
Smiley, yeah.
Not, they could argue that role was sort of, you know what I mean? You know, he's playing like a really, you know, it's even as a babyface, it's a semi-demeaning role. Certainly it was, you know what I mean? I mean, but you know, he's
that's
there.
That's kind of like a goofy role that anybody could play, you know?
No, anyone could play the crybaby, and anyone could, you know, go in the, you're right. It's absolutely not a racial role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Even though you do know as black people would always be up front with things, you know, never back down from anything, you know. Always on top, you know. If they want somebody with you, you know, you're like, what, you know, you're always there, and you know, it's kind of hard to see a black person like Norman without using any racial, doing the crybaby gimmick, because you hardly see anybody like that. But if it's him, perfect.
Yeah. We are completely out of time. Ray, I want to thank you very much for doing the show today, and I want to... do you got any kind of a date as far as when you might be able to come back? I mean, like to a month or something like that?
You know what? I got a doctor's appointment on March 6th, and I think after that, I'd probably say April. Probably be back on TV by April.
Okay. Yeah.
And he used to come down to Tijuana. And I used to check him out, and his style was just, back then I was barely growing up with the sport, and I was just from the fans' perspective, and I would really get amused by his style of wrestling. It's kind of like the newcomers now that they kind of watch us and they're like, wow, this is good stuff, you know. So his style, without a doubt, has been one of the best.
Okay, just one last thing. Dave, a couple of days ago, you had talked about how Mick Foley has had a very big influence as far as the upcoming wrestlers that we'll see in the next generation. You could also say that about Rey Mysterio. He has influenced a lot of the probably the next generation and current crop of new wrestlers out there. But there's also negative effects to that influence. What do you think about that, Rey Mysterio? Because your style of wrestling does have its downfalls, in that it shortens possibly shortens the career of many of the wrestlers.
Okay, let me ask him, because he's having trouble hearing you. He was basically saying that like with Mick Foley, that you've been one of the biggest influences on young wrestlers.
Yeah.
And
not at all. As soon as he starts talking, it starts breaking up. I know he's asking me about heavy metal.
Yeah, he's basically asking how what did you think of heavy metal, and as far as like why he never came to the United States.
Well, when I worked with heavy metal down in AAA, it was actually what greatest matches we can ever have. His purpose, I really don't know. Maybe he wasn't that sure of himself of making it here. But once everyone basically took apart from AAA, when Conan left and a couple of people started leaving, like Parka, he was one of the fewest that were really loyal to AAA, and he didn't really want to make a business elsewhere until maybe he saw somebody was already set. And of course, after he saw everyone set in WCW, that's when I think he kind of tried to talk to Conan, or maybe they did talk about him coming over here to the United States, but it never worked out.
Yeah, that's too bad, because he was right there along with you guys.
Ray, wouldn't you say, like, as far as like talent goes, that he was? I mean, his talent was equivalent to any of the top guys.
His talent was great. I mean, I remember when back when I wasn't even a wrestler. He used to be Canelo Casas.
I think there's far more of a downside for people emulating Mick Foley than emulating Ray, because as Mick Foley always says, he couldn't jump high, so he jumped off high things. And it obviously takes, like, a good deal of athleticism to try the stuff that Ray and the Luchadors try, as opposed to pretty much anybody can go up on something high and jump off of it. And we see a lot of that in the indies with guys, trying things like that. And pretty much the only people that really emulate the lucha style are people that can actually do it. So I think there's more of a downside, people trying the freaky things that Foley has done that are just dangerous.
I mean, Foley, I mean, with the way he's just involved throughout his career in wrestling. I mean, he's done a magnificent job of doing what he loves, because you can see it right off the bat. I mean, he feels everything he does in the ring.
Yeah. Before we actually, the first things we should probably talk about is how are you doing, and how are you feeling, how's the knee doing, and everything like that.
Well, I'm picking up on my therapy. I mean, it's been the same for 2.5 months now. Just 5-day a week therapy, and of course I'm getting a little bit stronger on my leg, starting to lift a little bit more heavier as far as squats and all that. But I mean, I still got a ways to go. I still feel unsafe to.
Certainly, the one thing that you've done in the United States, and maybe and even in Mexico to an extent, is that smaller guys can get into wrestling because you paved the way, whereas before promoters would just, like immediately dismiss someone of your size or even a little bit bigger than you. But he's also going that because your style is so like acrobatic and sometimes dangerous that it also has, perhaps will lead to shorter careers of wrestlers as well. And what are your thoughts of both of those things?
I guess he is right, definitely about our style of wrestling and how we try to innovate things, and maybe that's a shorter process in our career, but that's kind of like the road that we pick. We know we can get hurt very easily, and we know we can be out, for injuries. But I guess in the sport, in any sport, you got the risk of getting hurt. So why not do something you feel like doing, and like innovating your own style, which makes it even better. No matter, when you start thinking about that, you're not really thinking about how long is my career going to be in the sport. Pretty much it's you doing what you want and just living day at a day.
I guess the other...
Hold on. Bernardo, hold on. We got Ray on the line, so you can actually ask him. Ray, how are you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, man?
We're doing pretty good. We're actually in the middle of a discussion about heavy metal, believe it or not, so we figured you should join in on that, and then we'll start talking to you on some other stuff. So, Bernardo, go ahead with Ray.
Yeah, you used to wrestle a lot with heavy metal.
Hello.
He was right up there with you guys.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear Bernardo?
Yeah, I can't hear him clearly.
Okay, Bernardo, speak up a little bit louder.
Okay, Rey Mysterio, well, first of all, let me just say it's a real honor to speak to you. You're probably one of the best wrestlers that I have ever seen live.
It's hard to pick up on the phone right here. I can hear you, Dave, very clearly. Hello? Can you hear me, Dave?
I can hear you, Ray. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, that's good.
Okay,
what was he saying? Because I can't hear him. I can't hear him speak up.
Hello?
Go ahead, Bernardo.
All right, let me try it again. So it's just basically what can you say of heavy metal, Rey Mysterio? He used to wrestle a lot with you guys, and he was practically right there with you guys as far as being a top talent from Mexico. Why didn't he come over and join you guys in WCW and such?
You know what, Dave? It's very hard for me to pick up. I can't hear him.